Hi everyone, Ryan here. I want to take a second and show you Construct, a headless CMS that my team and I have built for Build.com. Construct is a headless CMS which allows merchandisers and marketers to populate content for customers around our category pages, which are route pages. It allows authors to write articles. It allows them to author shared and promotional content, which is really interesting. I'll show you that in a bit. And also generate product descriptions in the system. The thing that's powerful about Construct is it's a headless CMS, which means that the content and presentation are kept separate. This was actually a fairly new concept when we started building Construct 3 years ago. Now there's an entire industry sprung up around headless CMSs, but our internal unit actually kind of started around the same time that many of the big players in the space started as well. Just to kind of show you what I mean here, so if we go to, let's say, Build's Bathroom Faucets page, you can click into the group. In the group, you're allowed to make as many drafts as you want, and so we can edit the draft, and in here you can see a live preview of how this data is rendered. So Build offers 3 web platforms: it's mobile, tablet, and desktop, and you can see in real time what your content looks like rendered in which platform. You can go through and let's actually do some data manipulation here. So you can go through, for instance, and we have this group of content here which allows you to shop by finish. And so to look at the data that's populating that, we allow authors to select a category. You can see select a facet that's associated with that category, label it, and provide an image. And of course, the images are come back from the back end as default, whatever the default category image is. But I suspect here in this presentation, the author has chosen to upload new, more meaningful images there to represent this. What's neat about the way we built this is everything is a reference and nothing is a URL. And so, for instance, we're kind of showing part of a URL here, but this is stored as a reference to category ID 132502, and it's using facet 19208. So the system stores just these big collections of IDs and references, and then on request, when a front end, say a desktop website, requests that data to be rendered, we provide it to the front end in a transformed state that actually reconstructs the URL and allows a consuming platform to use it. So everything's very real time in the system. For instance, if nickel tones now needs to be the 4th option, you can drag it down to the 4th option and your preview refreshes and it's now in the 4th spot. The system offers quick save. It functions a lot like Google Docs. You can publish your changes. I can publish this change I just made right now, and it instantly publishes out to any consuming platform that is choosing to consume this data. However, I don't have to hit publish. And what else? Construct also has a robust rich text editor where content authors can write a bunch of very meaningful content here. As you can see, I've written something that's really going to help conversion rates. And we implemented the Quill rich text editor, but then we actually hacked it to provide some additional functionality. And so what we did is, for instance, authors have the ability to write SEO content at the bottom of product drops. And so we wanted to give the authors a lot of flexibility. However, we wanted to enforce best practices, and we needed to keep people on some sort of rails. So something that was very important to us and to SEO and marketing in general was proper document structure. And so we decided that we were not going to allow users to make malformed documents. And you see that a lot, especially with WYSIWYG editors. Somebody chooses an H1 because it's big or chooses an H6 because it's small. But we wanted to have semantically relevant documents. So what we decided is, for instance, if you choose an H2 here and then write content and then decide for presentational purposes that you'd like to go H6, the editor's not gonna validate. It's not gonna let you publish these changes, and it's gonna tell you, hey, you know, it parses the entire document and it tells you H2 was your last heading. You can't go any deeper than H3, and it requires you to actually build a semantically correct document. Route pages can be really neat in Construct. When you come into a route page, so route pages are, you know, bespoke templates or data models created to be a landing page, essentially. And so they showcase some of the separation of design and content that really is the basis for the whole Construct system. Here you can see that the mobile experience is presenting each sales section. Each sales section right here over on the left-hand side is a collection of data, and it has a bunch of children objects, but it's presenting each section as if it were a horizontally scrolling tab. And when you click on it, it takes you down to where that content lives on the page. So that is, you know, one set of data that is being rendered to have the specific mobile first experience. If we flip over to the desktop site, we can see that it is still kind of a tabbed experience, but it is slightly different. And it's because each platform can consume that same data set however it wants. They happen to have done tabs here, but there's no real requirement to do that. The back end provides the data to the consuming front end, and that front end can do whatever it wants with it. Below, in these sales sections, you can see that the system makes references to most entity types throughout our entire business here. So it's not just categories, it's not just products. You can link to many things, including other construct entities. So that you could link to, for instance, other articles here. You can also build CTAs up to, calls to action, up to any number of things, including favorites lists and other things. Now, shared and promo content is really kind of the fun space to play in because it really amplifies the efforts of one person, and it really allows folks to get their marketing messages out quickly and without the help of a designer or a developer. And so I'm going to turn on my stars here. We have this concept of like anything you create is automatically starred for you. And so if ever you're, for instance, awash in a sea of promotional items, you can try on your stuff and really just kind of have a personalized experience in the tool. So here's an example of a banner, just a test banner that I made to demonstrate something. We can preview it again on any site, and this is an example of this data travels beyond just the build website. It can power really any consuming platform that has API access to it, and so that means the build network of sites, the build native app. Really anything that is that can access an API can access this content. Let's flip over to desktop here so we have a little better view of it. I'm going to go in and edit this record just to kind of show you what's fun about banners in Construct. So the problem that we were solving for here is we had a very small design team and a very large merchandising team, and that meant that there was a bottleneck. Merchandisers needed to be able to talk about promotional activity, but couldn't get creative assets as quickly as they needed to. So as an alternative to getting in a Jira queue, we created data-based banners. And so what you find in banners is you have a slight nod to where the user is going to find it. We abstract the terms, hopefully to still keep that separation between presentation and content, although admittedly this is a little bit of a slip in our absolute rules against keeping keeping the two separate. Right now it's set on primary top, and that is where primary top happens to go on the desktop site. Primary bottom isn't very fun, but secondary top shows you how the same data can be reformed and populated in many different presentational modes. Similarly, we have this concept for banners of variations, and so this is using variation G, again, very abstracted language because we're really trying hard to stay away from referencing how something is rendered. However, the merchandisers really did need to be able to have a few different form factors to choose from. They needed to be able to try on a few different outfits for their content, And so we have this concept of variations. And so, you know, sometimes it comes together really nicely, and maybe that's exactly what they're going for. Sometimes maybe it's not great. And so because they have a few different presentational options here, they can indicate to a consuming platform, hey, I think this variation looks best for the content that I chose. And you can see it just kind of provides you some options, especially when your imagery is limited. You only have maybe what the vendor sent you. You know, we're not going to get it into our photo studio for another 3 months. Like, sometimes you just have to make hard decisions around content, and so this helps ease that pain. Of course, you can, just like in all the other fields, you know, you can in real time change these things and publish that out to your customers. You know, you can enter coupon code, expiration dates, that kind of stuff. I think the interesting part to mention here is we've done another hack on a third party to provide this concept of custom gravity, or we term it area of focus. So I'm going to delete the background image here. We use Cloudinary for our image transformation and delivery service. And when you upload an image, you're presented with what I think most designers at least would recognize as a bounding box or a crop. But we hacked this uploader to where it's not actually going to crop this image. What it's going to do instead is allow me, the author, to indicate through data what is important in this image. And so, for instance, if I were selling faucets, I would indicate that this faucet is very important, but maybe maybe the sale I'm really talking about is on red clocks. And so I'm going to do what looks like a very tight crop on a clock, but really what I'm doing is setting a rectangle and storing coordinates around what is important in this image. And that becomes very useful as we send data out to almost unknown consuming platforms. So you know, when a website requests the data from Construct, Construct can pass the data back to the platform and say, by the way, if you transform this image, if you crop this image, if you're planning on making changes to this image, here are the coordinates of the product in the photo. Please try to keep this in view. And you know, sometimes if I drew the box over here in the bottom corner and said, please try to keep the bottom corner in view, that would be immensely difficult. However, this red clock has a lot of space around it. It seems like it's probably pretty likely we can honor the request of, please help me sell this red clock. And there we go, we have a red clock. If the sale ends up not being around red clocks, we can come back in and say, you know what, actually, I've decided it is about the faucets. I'm actually selling faucets here. And so we can indicate to the system what is the most important piece of this image and ensure that it continues to be highly deliverable to unknown consuming platforms. It's really saved us a lot of time and really unblocked a very large team of merchandisers who are now fully empowered to deploy and run their own promotions. Another interesting piece around Construct banners is this idea of create once, publish everywhere. And so I've made one banner, I've made that one draft, and I am able to, across Build's entire network of stores, select any category I want across the entire network and tell the system to populate that banner on those pages. And so if I want this to show up on you know, a bathroom lighting category on build.com, it's just kind of search, pick. You can also import paste in CSVs. There's all sorts of matching rules, and you can also match routes, which are our landing pages. So it's really easy to build up a list of categories and pages that you own or that you care about, and target a banner to hit everywhere all at once. Beyond that, let's take this example of the banner that I was just working on. And let's say that this is my evergreen sale. I'm always going to show this banner. It just kind of welcomes folks and offers them a very low percentage coupon that never expires. And that's just kind of my evergreen banner. I'm going to make a copy of it quickly. And now my group right here, my group now has two banners in this. And what I'm going to do is say, like in the previous example, my sale really becomes about that red clock, right? So I come in here on the copy. I'm going to make a selection. Maybe I'm going to include a little more space this time. Maybe it's clocks and pot fillers. And okay, so now I got the pot filler there. So now my new banner is all about clocks and pot fillers. Maybe I need to choose another variation. I'm not loving the way that looks. Maybe G is the one for me. Okay, we'll say that's incredible. The scheduling power in Construct is pretty awesome. So what you can do is set a start and end date for this banner, and that maybe in and of itself doesn't seem all that interesting, but what is kind of cool is that, okay, so I've got a start and end date here. When I come back to the group, for instance, I've got Ryan's test here, I've got what is my evergreen banner, and it's just published and always going to be live, or maybe we'll pretend it's published. Whenever a consuming platform asks for banner content, this draft will be returned. Here's your evergreen banner. Until February 26th at midnight, when a consuming platform asks for a banner, this banner, so the red clock version, gets returned. So this is my evergreen here. And then for one day between February 26th and February 27th, this variation appears. And so this allows me to, within a single group of banners, schedule out as far out as I care to go. And it gives me, the merchandiser, an opportunity to be very planned with my monthly activities. It also allows me to not really worry about unpublishing the evergreen one, or really worrying about how to get the very timely, very short-lived banner to appear over the top. The system chooses by what was published last, and so in this case, once February 26th at midnight hits, that will be the most recent banner, and it's going to display that until it expires the next day, and again it returns to the evergreen banner. So every single piece of content in Construct behaves with that same schedulability. So if your landing pages need to change for a 3-hour flash sale, no problem. Make a copy, schedule it for 3 hours, done. If your categories need to change for some short amount of time, every single bit of content in Construct is highly scheduled and highly deliverable. Thanks everyone for taking a second to check out Construct. It's an internal tool, and it's something that I rarely get to speak about outside of this building. So it's been neat showing it off. Thanks.